and also a backlog in placement in some areas. This means some children could not attend their first day. Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga conducted visits to several schools today, and our reporters Manqoba Mchunu and Pule Letshwiti Jones have been all across various provinces tracking the first day back. Manqoba, hello. I'm going to start with you. Tell us where you are, because I know that you're at a district office where there's still parents. Where are you? What's the concern?
Well, Sally, we're here at Morningside. It is a district office of the Gauteng Education Department, and this is where a number of parents have come here, Sally, hoping, of course, to secure some spaces for their grade 1s and grade 8 children in schools. We do understand that some of the parents saying that they had made applications last year, but they have not been placed. Their children have not been placed. But also, we do understand that there are parents that are here for the first time. The late registrations that are going to take place today. You recall that the Gauteng Education Department had indicated that the late registrations will be open from today. So it is a mix of parents that are here. Those who are frustrated, of course, at the fact that their children have still not been placed in schools, but also those who are here for the first time to register. But I've got one of the parents here, Sally, just to give us a sense of what today has been about. Siswami, you just speak to me earlier on about your frustrations. You said that you did apply, but you did not receive placement.
Okay, I applied last year, and I was placed at a school. And when I was applying, I applied for Xitsonga as my first language. But then today, when I took the child to school, apparently the school only has 10 kids in that language. So they said to me they need to transfer that child to another school. And they were saying they can't do it at that school, so I have to come here.
Yeah. And so are you receiving any help in terms of the issue that you have? Are there any guarantees that you're getting that your child will be placed?
At the moment, I'm not sure, because it's been a long day. It's been a while since I've been here, and I really don't know what's going to happen, because right now it's past 5 and I've been here since earlier.
Okay, thank you for speaking to us. Well, Sally, those are just some of the concerns that are being raised by the parents who say that there are still issues when it comes to the registration and admissions of their children. But of course, we do understand that the education officials here are attending to this queue. You can see just behind me, Sally, it is a long queue. And I can tell you that when we arrived here, there were quite a number of parents that were here, many of them frustrated, and some of them, of course, hoping to secure space for their children for the 2022 academic year.
Yeah, and as that lady you chatted to said, she's been waiting there for absolutely hours. But she's highlighted a really important issue, because we know the Department of Education is saying, I think it's about 700 pupils haven't been placed as yet. But I'm not sure she spoke about the issue of placements that are wrong or not to the parents' choice or not to the parents' ability to get the children to those schools, very far from where they live, for example. What did the minister say about placement when you spoke to her?
Well, Sally, the minister did admit that there are some challenges when it comes to the issue of placements. It's not only in Gauteng, we understand, it's also a problem that's facing the Western Cape province as well as KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, I think, one of the provinces that are also affected. So it is a problem that's not only facing this province, it is a widespread problem facing some other provinces. But what she did indicate, of course, is that the provincial education departments are dealing with these issues, and she says that by the end of today, they are hoping to get reports from the various provinces as to how they are addressing this issue. And in particular, those reports will also highlight at some of the schools where there are gaps, and some of the schools where there are spaces where learners, for example, did not return to those schools. So she is really saying that by the end of the week, they are hoping that some of these issues will be resolved. But earlier on, I also spoke to the spokesperson of the Gauteng Education Department, Steve Mabona, saying that they are hoping to have these placements concluded by the end of January. Of course, they're saying that at this particular point, they're still dealing with these issues and hoping to place all of these learners. But take a listen, Sally, to what Minister Angie Motshekga had to say on this.
We appeal to parents, especially for grade 1 and grade 8, not to go to schools, because schools have to settle down. Schools will report to districts. You see, Gauteng, unfortunately, with their centralized ICT data collection for placements, then they have all the information centralized at either district or provincial level, and that's where they can be able to identify gaps and begin to redirect learners that have not been placed. So by Friday, we'll have a sense of what are the ongoing challenges and how do we mitigate against them, giving ourselves 10 days. But if not, like last year, until about March, in some instances, Gauteng had not been able to place learners. But we will do all we can within our powers to make sure that as soon as possible, we place learners.
All right, so that's the Basic Education Minister speaking in Gauteng today. And thank you for wrapping up the province there, Manqoba Mchunu. Let's move now to the Northwest Province, specifically to the area around Rustenburg. And our colleague Pule Letshwiti joins us. So, Pule, we've actually seen quite a turbulent first day with parents protesting. Tell us more.
The situation was quite volatile, Sally, and at some point we remember that there was just bottles flying all over and we're trying to get cover till the police officials actually came to try and calm the situation. Now, the message is quite clear from some of the angry parents and, of course, school pupils who jointly embarked on this strike, saying that the mining company within the area had given the Department of Education vacant land to build a new school, and now that has not happened, they're saying that the Department of Education in the Northwest committed themselves to rebuilding an already vandalized school, and they were not happy with that because they're saying with a school where the Department of Education wanted to rebuild had, of course, been in an environment which is not safe. It's in a bushy area, and we know there's quite a lot of things that are happening there, Sally. It is quite a haven for criminal activities, and we went there ourselves, and the facilities were just out of condition, and these are the concerns that the parents were trying to raise, and they feel as though the Department of Education has not come to the rescue to try and listen to some of their problems. I spoke to them earlier on, and they had quite, a set of demands that they wanted the department to actually get to as soon as possible.
The concern of this issue is that our children are not safe. You see by yourself there. They are not safe. The place itself is not safe for children, that place. Some have been raped from coming from that place. It's not safe. So now what they've done is that they decided to take our children to another far place from here, understand? Where they are going to stay there. There's not any protection for our children there, understand? So there will be a possible solutions in this issue, which can be made for temporary. Let them provide some containers on the schools that we have here. Let them just put some temporary containers so that our children will not miss some of their own classes.
How many years has this problem persisted for?
I think since this place, 2014. It started from the first councillor, I think. His term ended on 2016. Another councillor was still promising the same thing. So even now, because we have a new councillor now, maybe he can do something if we will push him. And that's what we are going to do.
Yeah, frustration, which is built over years. Now, Pule, what about school pupils who either haven't been placed or who have been placed in an unsuitable school in the Northwest?
It's quite a frustration for many within the province. I mean, earlier on we were in Lichtenburg, in Bladeville. Parents also complaining on some of the same issues as well, saying their children have not been placed. We went on to Mahikeng, where the situation is a bit better. But across places like Groendal, in Rustenburg, it seems as though the problem is persisting for a while, and school pupils just want to go to school and learn. And the end result of them not having to be placed, what we saw was them now being in the streets, engaging in activities where they're not supposed to be doing, like drinking, and gambling on the streets as well. And those are some of the circumstances that we are seeing happening when not having to be placed in school. But, the union says this has been some of the concerns that they've raised the Department of Education. That's SATU, of course. We spoke to the Secretary General of the organization earlier on, Mr. George Temba, who said that the department had committed itself to actually paying proper oversight within the province, ensuring that the infrastructures are well, ensuring that COVID-19 regulations are adhered to, meaning classes will not be overcrowded, and that the rotation of the timetable is respected in terms of having to come up with solutions that will not further delay the already affected academic curriculum. And we just spoke to him earlier on. I just want you to listen to some of these views regarding this problem.
We are expecting that on the first school of day of reopening, particularly welcoming the learners, we're expecting that the schools should be very much ready. But our observation here at Rekhonne Secondary School, it's evident that there are serious challenges, particularly with regard to infrastructure. We have seen some of the mobile classrooms, which in our view are supposed to be temporary structures, but we are reliably informed that it's about 6 years down the line now since the school has been operating in a temporary measure, and there is no indication, at least to the near future, when a proper school will be built. But we've also seen the issue of the toilets that are not in a really good state, and which on its own can cause a serious health hazard to the learners. But also what we've realized is the issue of overcrowding, because only a few learners in the grades, as in your grade 12 and grade 8 currently, are in attendance, and the majority of the other learners are not here, precisely because of overcrowding.
Yeah, such an important point, because as long as overcrowding persists, we have to stay with these rotational systems, and that further disadvantages pupils at under-resourced schools. Thank you so much for comprehensive breakdown of the issues in the Northwest with Pule, Letshwiti Jones, and of course in Gauteng with Manqoba Mchunu. Stay with us here on SA Tonight.